Welcome to Project Pack number 28. My name is Molly.
And my name is Jen.
This is the 12 Days of Zentangle 2025, and we are studying Leonardo da Vinci, or being a little inspired by him in a Zentangle way. Martha and I, for this lesson, we took a look at Leonardo's fascination with flight and sort of like dug into some of these drawings, which are unbelievable. But it seems to me like he really looked at birds and how they were structured and how they were flying and tried to design some flying devices of his own, a little study with feathers and really cool ideas of how can we take this idea and play around with it in a Zentangle way. It's pretty fun. Gorgeous, gorgeous drawings from all over, which is really fun. So let's take a look at some of the materials that we used. As I said, Jen is joining us here for the voiceover, but Martha and I did the video lessons. So we have a joint effort here. Thank you for helping us out, Jen. And we are using all the materials that came in the Project Pack 28 materials packet. Highly recommend them. And if you don't have the materials, we always welcome you to join with whatever you do have at home, although these are luscious, beautiful materials, including this really nice tan paper that we're working on. So fun and works really great for this sort of Renaissance style of drawing that we're looking at. So we are once again using the back of a 5x5 tile, which I feel like the geometric string is just like so inviting, you know, and it was like, what can we do with it? So I had thought we were going to use the blank side, and then we ended up once again just playing with this. So it's fun to see that you can do something totally different with the same string.
It's beautiful. Like it's a beautiful string.
Right? Perfect.
No reason you can't transfer it to the front of a tile if you'd like.
So just placing a simple dot right in the middle of that center square, center of the tile, using the string lines to kind of guide us. And then just creating two arcs that reach out to the corner points, almost like a heart, right?
Mm-hmm. But that was very similar to the way he was drawing the wings with the concave
Exactly.
lines.
Then just starting to, connect the dots with a simple line down the middle here. I take this style of drawing that I'm using right now from my mom, and she uses a lot, where it's like her lines have integrity and personality. She doesn't draw like just a straight line. She really like kind of plays around with the line having life to it, and so
definitely with the weighting and the skipping and
just like a thoughtful line. And by adding those kind of little bumps and divots here and there, I think it dimensionalizes it.
you're starting to carve out spaces.
Kind of rhythmically doing this. As you can see, I'm spacing them out a little bit, and there's like a little arc to them too. It's kind of subtle. But I like to use this technique where I kind of draw in the air.
I was going to say I found over the years that has become very helpful.
Right.
Get your hand comfortable.
And by doing one on one side and then one on the other side, you can kind of meter them out. And they don't have to be exact. We're just trying to like kind of create these almost like columns. Subtle arcs all the way to the points. So you can take a minute to kind of take in the spacing and the metering of it. But you might have a couple more than I do or a couple less, and that's okay too.
You truly are going all the way to the edge.
Right. And just direct inspiration is from those shapes that Leonardo made with those wings. They always had these like spines to them, right? Really cool structures.
It's the support.
Right? I know. Wings are actually really neat when you kind of take a minute. on many levels. Just kind of, instead of closing off the columns with a straight line, just using these like very exaggerated arcs.
I was just, because it's starting to get to be that season, thinking little candy canes in a way.
Oh, okay, maybe, yeah. We could be that too.
Just at the start.
Mm-hmm.
So, or a scallop shell is another.
Right, exactly. And then just like subtly, turning the paper so it works for you.
It is almost like the outside of the heart too,
Yeah.
mirroring that first.
Yeah, it's like subtle curves, just change everything. So we have like a kind of a neat shape going on here, almost bat wingish, right? And now we're playing around with starting to add more tangle-like stuff. And these shapes are sort of poke leaf-esque. And then adding a spine in the middle of those that mimics the spine that we put into these wing shapes. So we're just kind of like taking strokes we've already used and replicating them in a different way. So it's like a leaf-like shape here. And we're using the space to dictate like how wide that's going to be right now.
Oh, look at that.
Trickery. I know.
Aren't you tricky?
So this next layer we're adding in between those previous ones. And as Jen was noticing, the spine's already there. So we're using that previous spine to sort of make it look like these are growing on top of. This is just fun stuff you accidentally discover when you're tangling, Like, oh, look what I found.
And I have to say, when I first saw the spines, I was thinking those were sort of reticulate, but now you've crossed the lines.
Right. So on the spaces where there aren't any, we'll add them in. And then where there are, you can add one. It's playful, it's fun, it's almost like too easy, right? So once you start doing like things like this in your practice, you search for it. You kind of look for opportunities like this, and it's like almost like being a magician. You can play around with things like this. So fun. And nobody has to know how you got there.
I know. And again, if you walked away from this and you'd be like, where do I begin?
Right?
When you look at the whole big picture. It's the beauty of tangling. It's definitely turning into a feather.
Right? It's so fun. And there's no like exact rhyme or reason to how many of these shapes you put in, but I would give yourself sort of a little bit of time here and there to like visit your shape. So we're not looking to fill the whole space. We're looking to kind of dust the, the top third of it. So they almost look like they're right at the top. And then once I've kind of figured out how many, and yours might be more or less, but I really want to leave the bottom of the wings kind of open. Now I'm just adding a little bit of rounding in between those, the bottom row there. Kind of hold it together. It's like glue.
Yeah, makes a nice finish to that layer.
Now I'm just kind of taking my pen and I'm sealing off the top part. And if you notice, I'm like putting in there, it's like a real subtle curve. Again, another trick to add dimension to your work. Like I could just put a straight line there, but by using this like little curve, it almost feels like it's wrapping over the top.
And you truly are making a bunch of little hearts.
So cute, right?
Yeah. But it does look like it's wrapping.
These are all like just very easy details. Kind of like elevate your work. It's actually very pretty just like that, right? So Martha's going to come in and add some rows of different tangles. That's pretty exciting. And I think one of the things we tried to do when we were designing our work is like, we're using Leonardo da Vinci as an inspiration, but ultimately we're tangling, right? So we really wanted to make sure we came back to that, where we like kind of found a little spark or a idea, and then we used it as a way to create something, either an inspiration for a composition or an inspiration to use a specific technique. And she's really looks like she's breaking up these columns into square sections.
And are the squares meant to be squares, or if they were rectangles? Like, are they meant to be the same width as the original ones, or did that just
I think that
happened?
I mean I think
It
that's
just
like
happened?
ish, maybe she's
is
trying to
ish.
add like an ish. Yeah, she's filling these bottom sections with orbs, which is kind of fun. Just kind of smushing them into this section, you know. And it's a little bit of an odd space, but then once you get it in there, it's kind of fun how she's doing it. So she's kind of starting in the middle there with like the crook, and then filling some in behind, and then forward. So fun. And there's a couple different ways you could, you know, fill any space with orbs, and it's just like finding your rhythm. And so fun. This type of a pattern is great for like creating space, right? So you don't have like that really close together texture. You have like something that's opening up and really kind of adding contrast without adding ink, right? You're just like providing space. Just a reminder that we encourage people to pause the video as they're working. And remember, this isn't a race. It's all about working at your own pace and sort of figuring out what works for you. We're kind of putting it out on the buffet table and letting you choose.
And one of my favorite reminders is loosen your grip.
Mm-hmm.
Take a nice deep breath.
I still need it.
Yeah.
Usually when I say it out loud, it's like me just talking to myself.
Adjust your posture.
So it looks like she's using a zigzagging line to create a series of triangles.
That are squarish or
Right.
circle-ish.
And then basically just using veils to fill that space. So, yeah, right? I mean, again, you can use different tangles in these sections if you want. If we're demonstrating one that is not as interesting to you, you can easily add a different one. Or put different ones in different spaces.
And there goes the veil disappearing behind.
Right, and then she's adding the side ones now. So you can kind of, you know, fill it in different ways.
And that's where, like, taking a second and holding it back and seeing what you want.
Exactly.
What feels right for you.
There's our orbs again.
Yeah.
There's really only 4 strokes in the Zentangle method, so as much as everything looks so complicated, we all come back to these same, you know, a dot, a line, S curve or a C curve, and then an orb. It's like, how can you combine those different strokes? Get a lot of stuff out of it. I
You
mean,
really
it's
do.
like, yeah, like having a 4-pack of crayons and like really being able to get some depth there. Or a 5-pack, I guess, if you have the line and the dot separately. Yeah. So pretty. And the ink there makes a huge difference. Beautiful. Looks like she's gonna
Ooh.
change it up here and not necessarily do the same thing on each side, which I like, because it's just a little more.
I like it too. I didn't expect that.
You were thinking she was gonna do the same thing.
I thought it was going to be a mirror image, like balanced. No, I like it.
Just a little bit of flux here. In case you guys didn't know, flux is one of Rick's favorite tangles. You almost can't find a tile of his without a little flux on it. But it's so wonderful to fill space with that I can see why he favors it a lot in his work, is because you can nestle it in so many places and it just seems to work so well each time.
And you really can't just nestle it until you are done.
Yep. Oh, and she's playing around with the logo here, kind of not going over it, which is funny. Just taking her time.
Some little tiny fluxes.
Right? Oh, now coming from the other side.
Yeah. One growing out, hiding.
And now flux works really well with orbs, just kind of going back in and filling the negative space with orbs.
But it's nice. It ties it into the other orbs.
Mm-hmm.
Little stems.
Right. That does change the pattern, actually, these little.
It definitely makes me more think of a plant.
Right, exactly, yeah.
It's fine. Get you back to there.
Nice light touch.
Ooh.
In this space, it seems like she's working with a tangle called printemps, but instead of using a circle, she's using a square. And I actually think this tangle has a name just like this, and it's actually escaping my brain right now. But basically, you're working, instead of auraing the circular form, you're auraing in the square. It does totally change the, the end result too.
I don't think I've seen this one much.
What? It actually takes a little more focus than if you're going in a circle. You got to kind of focus. But it's playful and adds a nice texture.
Kind of fits in with the logo now.
Right?
I like that, how it's sort of tucking in behind. Little waiting.
Exactly. It actually makes such a difference. The extra ink, that contrast, and just that three-dimensional feeling, or even just like the feeling that there was more emphasis put on the work, or love.
That's another time too, if you do it part way and then you hold it back and then you look and you can really take in the difference.
So fun. It's like creature-like.
It's kind of like a little surprise. What's next?
I know, right?
A little surprise for me.
I
haven't
know.
seen the title. So,
well,
a surprise for all you watching.
We had to delay when we did the auto recordings for these, and unfortunately Martha was traveling, so I had to very nicely ask Jen to step in, because it is nice to have a buddy when you're doing these videos, but Martha was fully here when we were doing the lessons, and we talked about all these different tangles, each one, like which one should we put here and which one should we put there, and had so much fun trying to figure it all out.
Well, I like your choices.
I know. I think it went pretty good. Yeah. This was one of my favorite tiles we did for this series. I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but it happens. when we started working on the Da Vinci project, we have, all these different teachers that are going to be picking lessons, and I called wings. I knew I wanted to do some wings. We've actually done a few different wings here and there, but it's fun to play around with the different interpretations.
It's definitely one of those patterns that makes you think.
I know. It's a tangle called hybrid, and it's really just a back and forth rhythm, but it works pretty good.
Nice orbs.
Nice to do some tipple. It always kind of like seems to have its place somewhere. Although I think she might add more to this. These are pretty big orbs. Setting yourself up for whatever you can fill. Orb knot. Did you get that? Pretty. And then just taking your time to fill the spaces, add a little bit here and there.
It does make it pop out.
Right? It just makes it look more purposeful is what it does, Oh, who doesn't love a little jetties?
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, a lot of people like the tangled jetties. We learned this at our last seminar.
Yes.
It's actually, again, another tangle that I find to be fun, like has a playfulness to it. But basically taking your, a circular reticula or big tipple and then adding these kind of playful stripes to them, almost like cue balls or...
I always think of it as the top of a screw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, every time.
That's really funny because I always look at it as like a ball, like when you're like playing pool. For some reason. See, everybody sees something different.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Flathead screw.
Right?
But that completely changes it.
Yeah.
Like that from, you could have stayed the orbs.
It's true. So many options.
Yeah.
And, back to what you were saying earlier, is like you easily could put, the same patterns more than once if you wanted to. Or you can change it up and add different ones.
This variety is really nice, though.
Mm. Well, it makes it feel like Zentangle, right? Sort of that. I don't know what's going on here. She's making a crazy reticula. I think it's what's going on. I'm acting like I don't know what's happening, but I'm actually know exactly what's happening. Cause...
I don't, though, so it's kind of nice for me because I thought these were reticular, and then you did the feathers, and you went over the reticular, and now you are using them as reticular.
It's just fun to play along with it, yeah.
So
really what she's doing is creating what we call a crazy grid or a crazy reticula, and then just putting some floors in it here, which is, I think, an unsung hero of tangles. We kind of forget about it a little bit, but honestly, it's a great tangle to add to a composition because it creates space. It has a little drama. It's just interesting enough, and
this version of it makes it very interesting.
Right, exactly. Just a little wonky. But basically what you're doing is going over the cross sections and kind of making little diamonds, almost like to create like a tiled floor impression.
A little bit of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, exactly. So fun. And just kind of taking your time with each column and adding a new tangle in each one.
Maybe as you finish each column, again, take it, hold it at arm's length, and appreciate.
Right?
Ooh.
So this is a little diva dance, which always looks awkward when you first start it, and then you understand what's happening. So the idea is basically to create, this is diva dance rock and roll, by the way. So you're going to be making a spiral, right? But as you work your way around the spiral, you add these little bits of weight that like any new spiral would react to.
Sort of balances that wonky force.
Yeah. And you're already like, even at this point, you get that sort of rosebud feel. Great texture. So she's going to start a second one. You could have just kept with one if you wanted to, but it looks like she wants to add like a little layering here. Just taking your time. Getting
all
filled
of this
up.
has been with the brown 01.
I know. We have not touched the other pen yet. This has all been with the brown. And just visiting each section as it comes. Sort of
Gonna be breeze.
beautiful parallel lines. Got here. And then kind of creating the next layer with sort of these V shapes, right? But using the previously drawn stripes as a guide, right? She's going to do a little stripey action, which creates a tangle we call jongle. Happens to be one of my favorite tangles. I'm not sure why, but it's a go-to for me. It's like stripes with like just a little more to them. And jongle can be done different ways. Some people do the stripes that go all the way across, and she's doing the every other. So it's a little checkerboardy. Taking your time with filling in is such a skill. I think it's one thing I've learned from teaching Zentangles. I see that might take a little while to get to. When you first start tangling, you might have a hard time. It's not with the ability to fill in, it's the patience and the, I think, precision and the attention to detail.
There definitely is a learned.
Yeah.
It's learned patience.
It is. And then I think as your practice grows, you start to find solace and sort of calm in that.
Is there a little intentional?
I think she is doing, hers is like a whisper of a sparkle there. I like that. Gorgeous. Yeah, the stripes and I think her choosing these tangles that have drama to them or open space to them really complement the tangles that are more textural. And that's something that also comes to you as your practice grows, like trying to figure out tangles that work well together.
Now the really comfortable orbs.
Right.
So pretty.
I love to use this technique that she's using right now where you kind of don't fill in the orbs all the way. You sort of leave that. To me, it leaves you with an impression of like caviar. You know, it's like these gorgeous black pearls.
I feel like it's something you learn to trust the more you do it.
Cover is great too. You can really cover stuff with that pattern. If you need to. I mean, not that you need to, but if one needed to cover something, you could easily cover that pattern. Another great pattern here. This is an orby one. She's doing a bunch of them, and I think that's a nice, like, sort of underlying theme she has going on here with these sort of these stripes and orbs all kind of displaying in different ways. But this is a pattern called Festoon, Festune, and it's like a celebration. That's a fun one.
It definitely gives you a buffet of choices.
Right? So fun.
It makes me think of beach umbrellas, like top down.
Yeah. Totally. Gorgeous.
This is the last section. Oh, is she mirroring the other side?
It looks like this particular pattern she's doing twice, which I like, you know, because it's such a small
space.
Yeah, and maybe that was like a little of the language, like the two middle ones were the same, so it's kind of sandwiched in there. But you could really...
beautiful.
So fun already, right? Without the shading or anything. It's really working well. That's a chunk of time too, so take your time with these and enjoy it. But I love how you can break it up, right? You have each section, so you could do a column with one tangle and then take a break. Just taking a little time to go back in. Just add a little weighting at the bottom.
That really does make a difference.
Beautiful.
So fun. Oh, wow. Look at this.
So just hitting the top here with that sanguine pencil and really just adding almost a layer right to the top and then kind of going in a couple of the in-betweens of some of the other bottom ones and then just taking the tortillon and softening that.
Such a pretty color.
Right? It's actually, it complements the tile color so well. So pretty. There's not like a huge rhyme or reason, just to kind of dance around a little bit. So now I've switched to the graphite pencil. And really what I'm trying to do is create a little bit of shade underneath these. Let's call them, we call them feathers?
Yes, I would definitely call them
All right, let's call them feathers. And then also on either side of the spines. But now you can see that little trick we used where those original spine lines are already kind of lost. You can't tell that we drew those in the beginning. I love doing stuff like that. Nobody's gonna know. It's like a little trick.
You know, the other image I'm getting is these, like a very funky stone wall with like the leaves draping over the top and little tiny peepholes for all the little animals to run through the wall.
That would be one crazy land that had these stone walls that looked like that.
But do you remember that project pack where you could create your own botanicals, you know? So maybe this is a wall
in that land.
In that land.
Cool. So I am one of those people that clearly does not like to wait till the end to blend things, because I think there's a couple things. I'm probably impatient, but I also like to see how things are developing, you know, so to get an idea how it's going to look. So I usually add a little graphite, blend a little bit. We've obviously advanced this a little forward, so you would be pausing the video to finish your shading. Now, this looks crazy on the camera right now. The white looks just out of control, like white, right? It's just like so bright. But once you take your tortillon and kind of blend it into the paper, you get this, this luscious translucency and depth, and like, it's stupidly awesome. Just gorgeous, yeah. playing with that little highlight Martha left there. Tell me that's not unbelievable.
So beautiful.
Right?
And again, just look at the two sides of the thing. What a difference it makes.
So fun.
Taking those moments of appreciation as you're working.
So we would call these advanced tangling techniques, but I would say we can get you there pretty fast.
Yes,
we can get you
100%.
there. Yeah, it's all just one stroke at a time. Take your time, but trust the process. Like, these are longer tiles. It's not like something you're going to do really quick. You're going to put on some soft music. You're going to like find a cozy spot.
And it truly is enjoying the process.
Right? So fun.
It is your 12 days.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? If it takes you 30 days,
Exactly.
that's okay too. Look how fun that is. So now we're looking at these feathers. Yeah, let's call them feathers. And just sort of playing around with the layering here, like how does each shape kind of stack on top of another one?
I love the shading. You've completely sold me on it.
Yeah. So gorgeous. And the illusion is so fun of like this feathers going over the spine of the structure is
It's beautiful.
really, really fun. Just a little bit over here. I did find that the white chalk doesn't love to go over the red as much as like it does the raw paper, you know, and those are things you'll learn like as an artist when you're playing with different materials, that different pens and pencils work better in different ways. So you can see it seems to work really well on top of the pen and the paper, but then for some reason the two chalk pencils, I think because you get the blending when you're putting it on there. So I was kind of cautious on how I did that, but I definitely wanted a couple bits here and there. You're also going to want to be careful with
Your tortillons.
exactly which ones you're using. So
it's beautiful. Like
it's
the
so
red
pretty.
and the sand green and the white mixed together makes such a like soft pink, you know, soft.
Right. And if you wanted like harsher white bits on the top, then you might choose to put the red in more carefully, or you would put in F. I don't know. You can play around with how it is. I was really loving that soft hue on the top, so I think it worked pretty well.
Did you
So
put any
fun.
white jelly roll on? Would white jelly roll go on?
You could try the white jelly on top. You mean like a little dot for
Just
like
a
a
little
sparkle?
dot for a sparkle?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing with like kind of like growing your practice and like growing your process is like just take chances. Like,
Give it a
what's the
try.
worst that's going to happen? You know, the only thing I do say is when, in just a minute, so I am using the side of my pencil here. Again, similar stroke we were talking about earlier with the pen, that it's like this line that's got personality. Like I'm changing the pressure on the pencil so that I get thin and thick lines. And this might be something you kind of practice on another sheet of paper to play around with, like how can you do that? Because these aren't perfectly straight lines. They've got like energy to them. Yeah, this is definitely something I've watched my mom do this for years. And I think I've tried to inherit it into my work.
Well, it looks very natural.
Yeah, like as if she handed it off to me, but I've always really admired the way she does that. It's like her lines have so much beautiful character to them, and they're so intentional. Like it's not like they are going exactly.
But you have a pretty loose grip, and you're just pressing down at different points.
And just embracing little bumps and isms and things. This is a fun technique. We're just like taking the graphite and blending it. Again, with the cotton paper, you can really do that. So not necessarily putting any extra layer of shading down, but just like playing with this texture. And not particularly concerned with the logos or anything, just using it as background. Almost like Leonardo's like sketches. He had all these like little drawings behind.
Back to notes, I was
yeah.
Here.
But back to what I was saying before about like art materials and like growing your practice, it's like take chances with stuff. And what's the worst that's going to happen, you know? And when we start to play with more and more materials, I think what I've learned is that like, yeah, your pen might get filled with graphite or it might, but you also then adapt ways to clean your pens and play with your, things like that. So it's like, if you're working with all these different materials, maybe like have a piece of paper on the side to clean off your pen by just drawing on something, without a bunch of media on it. So these are kind of some cool lines to put in. I'm going in between the graphite lines with, once again, my trusty magic wand here, aka my charcoal white. And just with a very dull pencil, it seems to work well. I'm just putting in these lines. This was a technique I noticed in a bunch of Da Vinci's work too, sort of these just like hash mark type things, which are really fun. And he had an amazing combination of like super detailed work and then very sketchy, and kind of maybe in the same area.
I mean, you imagine how many sketches he did of everything.
Yep.
All his inventions.
Stunning.
That is really fun.
Right?
I
just rolled that out. I just rolled that out like I was hiding it somewhere. This is what we were talking about earlier, Jen, but the idea of adding ink after you've shaded. And this may seem bold, but it's really going to make your work pop. Just like an outline that's like, see how careful I'm not just like going over this with one curve. It's like I am paying attention to every little nook and cranny that we put on there, and it's reflective of all the different strokes and the detail of the work. Like some little whispers just to like create shadow. Delicate whispers. See, nobody would even notice those are there, but they notice.
Yeah. You wouldn't know that you're noticing.
Right.
But again, you pause right now and you look at one half versus the other half, and
we're just basically tricking everybody. It's one big magic trick. It's gorgeous. Then you get somebody's gonna be like, well, what is it? And they'll be like, it's a Zentangle tile. And what is it? It's a Zentangle tile. It doesn't have to be anything. This is fun too, because it's just kind of like capturing that brown ink, right? Just like capturing the edge of it, adding a little.
You're defining those top feathers.
Each step takes a bit. It takes a little time. But there's no reason
I like to wait too.
Yes. No reason to rush through.
This is one of those tiles that you could just keep going. Little
right.
bits here and there.
I really think I could have, but I knew that
at some point
I was going to have to end it. I know. You look at the time and you're like, wow, this is I've been here a while. And I just love that, actually. So another little detail, I'm not outlining the whole thing. I'm actually just putting it on a little bit of it, just a little whisper.
When you're watching you do it too, it's just a little flick,
So fun.
Definitely one of those ones that you just watch. Fill it with some of your own favorites if you wanted. So pretty.
Yeah, we were pretty pumped about this one. But let's be honest, I get pretty pumped about a lot of things, but I get excited to do a project pack tile because I think about all the other people that are going to do them and like how theirs is going to look a little different and they're going to discover something, you know, from ours that's different. So I only did that in a couple places, like, you know, just adding a little tiny bits here and there. I don't have to add it everywhere.
Look into the
And then a
chalk.
chalk.
Okay.
Yeah, finishing up here.
I wasn't sure if you were going to go for the whole outside again, you know?
Credit to Martha for creating this tile with me, and thanks for Jen stepping in to do the voiceover, and thank you for all of you for joining along. And
we can't wait to see what you make.
it was a good time. Take care, everyone.
Bye.